pawns, man, in the game, they get capped quick. They be out the game early.
Unless they some smart-ass pawns.
This is not meth.
We are back. Episode 18 of TV Chronicles. We are in the thick of it. Breaking Bad, Mint TV. Oz is still Oz. And we possibly have entered the best season of The Wire. And it's a shame it's only 10 episodes. That said, but we will get through it together. Mark is over the moon excited because I love a season of The Wire. Maybe when you just do better storytelling, just be able to find ways to tell stories better. Either way, we're here. We're having fun. Matt, how are you? How was your viewing experience?
I'm doing good. We're getting into the nitty gritty here. We're approaching the finish line. I mean, Breaking Bad is pedal to the metal, racing towards it. Oz is just kind of like limping around like he got shanked, and it's crawling towards the finish line. And of course, The Wire is season 5 is really an interesting season. So I'm sure we're going to talk all about that. So yeah, good stuff.
Mark may be interrupted the most he's ever been interrupted this week during a Wire talk. Next up, the man, the myth, the legend, Mark Menchaca. How are you, buddy? You are so happy you signed up to do the show with me, and I know it.
Yeah, I was. I like the possibility of the show, and there have been times where I've just gotten angrier and angrier. Last week is a great example where I just lost my mind. And I should take the win. I really should take the win. I'm really glad Cody has really enjoyed this season. I wish it was last season. The last season would have been awesome. But we're this season. Okay, we'll just go. We're gonna go.
Yeah. Yeah. I was. The funny thing is, both players, like we're playing trivia here. Matt and Mark both were like, I think Cody's going to love this season. They both said it, and they couldn't be any more right. There's an element that they add to this that is everything I wanted in this kind of show and more. Because, again, Mark will touch on it, but, there's so much fucked up shit that people of authority do. The one element that has always put tried and true of keeping people in check for that has been this entity, and to not be using it. They hinted at it, I think, last season or it was probably the season with the I think it might have been season 3, but in the drug when he moved all the people to the abandoned buildings and stuff, and the reporters poking around. They're like, this isn't. Now we're in it. We're in it. I can't wait. But we're gonna pass it over to Mark. He's gonna take us through The Wire, season 5. How much of a break is between last season and this season? Is there a break in recording, or it just goes?
There's 2 years.
2 years.
2 years. So yeah.
You kind of feel that a little bit. You look at it, it's like, so I think it seems like every year they're like, all right, Wire, you're done. Just kidding, come on back. We need you again. Let's set it back up. Well, you're gone. Yeah, come on back. We're doing it again. I just think it's interesting how they set up yeah, but you can take us through this journey because it's a lot of fun.
I'll be honest, I'm not 100% sure if they had meant if there was thoughts of canceling season 4. I think they maybe told him they were good, and then they were just trying to figure out like what the last season would be about.
No, I think this was at the end of season 4. This was like the first season. Like, oh, okay, we have another season after this, so we can plan ahead. Because before that, like every other season, like, oh, I don't know if we're coming back or if
It's
this is
so good. That's why it's so good because they
Okay, we just got to get into it.
it.
Season 5, episode 1, More with Less. I'm just going to go through these in order because I realize it's probably some of the shorter ones I have here, which honestly seems good because I think I'm going to get a lot of interplay here. We start out with a really funny cold open, like where Bunk's there. He's got two guys that apparently had just shot somebody. He tells him, "Hey, this guy's giving you up. Open drama for this guy." He sees his friend walking with a big bag of guns. Like, man, what the fuck? You gonna put me in? And then they do the funniest shit ever. Like, and convincing him it's a
Yeah,
your audio is real weird.
Really?
It sounds like you're backing slowly into a cave.
Yeah, there's pause, but yes, it's a great opening. It's great. Oh, I like this look. With Cowboy side, like looks like he's a DJ.
All right, what about
Maybe not.
say something.
Give a speech.
I don't know what's going on about the copier thing, and seems like you guys are still looking at me, kind of, with
It just seems like you're in like a can, like an echo. I'm gonna pause. Hold on. Okay.
All right, yeah. So he sees his buddy walking past the Mickey D's, like, man, what the fuck? Why is this guy? What is this guy doing? And then, they strap his hand to a fucking copier, which I guess I can understand. Like, he's not gonna know like what a copier looks like. What? You're shaking your head.
It's crazy. No, this scene's just crazy. Like, what the fuck?
Like this kid had to at least go to school like one day and see a copy machine.
Those papers come out, false. Like, what?
Or if he came from Avon's crew, then that means he was working at Stringer's copy shop at one point or something.
No, really funny stuff. And that kid totally got convicted because of the fucking copy machine. I feel bad, but whatever. He still shot somebody. Going to the main story. Wire Crew is. I mean, I don't know if we can say the band's back together. I mean, they never broke up. They were just kind of on the case here the whole time. They're on Marlo Stanfield. They're following the hell out of him. Marlo's really not doing much. He's just doing meets out in the open. He's not hitting anybody. He's got his kid out on his moped, just driving around. Like they're not finding shit out. And then also Marlo knows that he's being followed and listened to. So there's just not much you can do. We got Carver. He's they called him a SIC, a lieutenant in training. He has to deal with a bit of a hostile room because they're all pissed about not getting paid and having a bunch of shit in there because the city budget is all out of whack because they have no money, giving it all to the schools. And he gives this great speech about professionalism and then immediately has to give them a bunch of bad news and completely loses the room. So cop morale all-time low all around. Rawls and Burrell pretty much have to tell this to the mayor. We're going horribly. We're trying to do everything we can. We're not going to get a reduction in crime, which Carcetti is still asking about that, which is really funny. He's like, well, you got to give me a reduction somewhere. I know you guys have no money, but, show me a reduction in crime.
Talk about people that don't do the cases whatsoever when they're like, I need a reduction. We have no money. I get it. But can you get us? No, it doesn't work that way. I need more.
You essentially defunded the police.
But expect the same delivery.
But they do offer one more thing that they can cut the budget for. They say, you know what? We've been following this Marlo guy. He had all those bodies up in the house. You know what? We could, suspend the investigation. That can shave off a few bucks. A lot of. And Carcetti is all for it. Yeah, he tells him to do that. Get kind of a funny comment from Norman whenever He brings up not taking the money, hey, you know what? If he took the money, he wouldn't be governor. Norman's like, well, shit. If he, he's a broke mayor right now. And now can't throw any money at the police force. Crime rate stays up. He ain't no governor neither. Just another weak ass mayor in a broke ass city.
Yeah. How fast it went downhill too! Like holy shit, man.
No, of course, Daniels hears about it. He's all pissed. He thought that we were gonna get a new day. Pretty much everybody in the police department's pissed. Nobody's loving this. Go check in on Michael. We're gonna, see more about Michael and Dookie. Michael's now running Bodie's old corner. He has Dookie sometimes looking after the corner, and clearly, the kids at the corner don't respect Dookie at all. He asks for the count. He's like, "Yeah, you can go fuck yourself. I don't care." Although Michael goes in there, he's like, "Ah, they'll tell Michael and whatever." So Doogie is having a hard time finding his place in the world. Eventually, Michael says, "You know what? You don't need to run this corner. Just kind of look after Bug whenever, he gets in and out of school." Dookie doesn't really like that, but he can't run the fucking corner anyway, so it doesn't matter. Also, note here, what I wrote down exactly is McNulty back on his bullshit. He is now drinking, whoring around.
No.
He is. What you got?
Where's the jump? What are we doing?
He's been back on this job for a year now.
Sure, but we just yeah, man, clean, doing good, whatever. Now he's just gotta hit a bottle anytime he looks at one. He literally had at one point of this episode a never-ending bottle. It was this size. He was in a room forever for till 4 a.m. and it was completely. And he kept drinking out. I was like, this man just keeps finding it. It's crazy.
Well, I mean, yeah. Listen, he was in a place where he didn't have to care about anything. You know what? And now he's back in a place where he feels like he cares and he has to be the man.
He's back where he's got to be the smartest guy in the room and he has to be right.
And yeah, unfortunately, that mentality, sends him, drinking and, fucking everything. And that's just the way Jimmy is, okay? And Cody was poking around it the whole time, but yes, we are back in a new location. And for the location for this final season is the newspaper. We are now going to be spending the season with the Baltimore Sun. Main character, a lot of characters in here, but really the main ones, Gus, who is kind of like a mid-level editor, and then we are following two reporters who are kind of trying to cut their teeth in. It's Alma Gutierrez and Scott Templeton.
I think that's why Cody likes it so. He's been going through Gus withdrawals on Breaking Bad, and now he's got a Gus on here, and he's got Gale back too. So
Gale, my star. No, I think it's a brilliant ad. I think this. I honestly again, these two know I'm a slut for a newspaper story, intrigue, investigation. I am all for it. My biggest issue is that I feel like this should be more. This should have been where the political aspect been for the last 3 seasons. We should have checked back in because I think getting pressure from the outside, from the internal and the newspaper would have been an interesting foil back and forth. That's just my take. I think it already paid super big dividends in these first 3 episodes. I think it worked super well to create that intrigue of what's happening throughout it. Plus, they have some great characters that they introduced in this final season inside the newspaper that I would I don't give a fuck about Littlefinger for the 40th time about him sucking his mouth. But these characters would have been interesting because if they would have started poking around the wire, blowing up their operations, that would have been an intrigue that we could have developed. I think it's the best season so far. What?
The audio cut out for me a little bit. But I was like, oh shit, we're gonna have to fucking off. Anyway, solid points. I'm not gonna argue with a ton of that because listen, even though I don't think
that's called growth. That's called growth.
Even though I don't think it's the best season, I think there's still a lot of good stuff in here. Like I'm not gonna talk down my show about, but yeah.
Fair.
Anyway, Carcetti tries to get help with the Marlowe investigation through the feds, but the feds want the Clay Davis investigation. They're like, hey, we're more than happy to help you out with this body thing, and if you let us take over Clay Davis, and he's a thieving politician, you help us out. But it very quickly turns into a Republican Democrat thing. They didn't want to hand them to get points on each other, and like, you know what? And they pretty much just walked out and told each other to go fuck themselves. So Carcetti's not going to get any help on that, and the feds aren't going to get Clay Davis because of that. Where the fuck was I? Oh yeah, Marlowe. We've seen Marlowe causing some ripples in the co-op. A little bit of trouble in the east side of dealers being displaced, and he's kind of throwing out stuff, kind of just throwing out little jabs, trying to to like kind of create some moons in there. So we'll see how that goes.
Are you good with your placement? And he's like, yeah, I'm good. Why am I echoing? Does anybody else hear me echoing?
A little bit.
Whose audio is coming through the computer? Anyway,
No, I mean not mine anymore.
that's so weird. I have my AirPods in and I can hear them. This is an audio just fun day. Continue. I'll try to figure it out.
I mean, there's all that audio. I mean, I had my air off the whole time. Like I'm gonna be sweating my ass off throughout this whole episode. Anyway,
I think you can turn on your air. I think you can turn your air. I didn't ever hear that.
all right. I was a little scared that was the thing that was throwing shit off.
I don't think so.
All right, well, at least turn on this fan and see what happens. And you guys can't hear me. We're gonna know what the fuck's up. Anyway, Bubbles now fully clean. Living at his sister's house, but she doesn't trust him like still at all. Even though we see him in the face, he definitely looks like the healthiest he's ever been.
He does.
But he still has to deal with that. Bond investigation ending now reaches Bond, the new state's attorney. Uh, he's a little bit dismayed at this. He wants to get some help. He wants to see if he can get help with that, so he heads up with Daniels, try to do something about that. McNulty finds out Marlowe's people are looking for Sergei in prison. Blast from the past from season 2. The old Russian guy. Everybody didn't like to be called Boris. They get over to Carcetti, talking about trying to convince him to keep the investigation going. Bond does tell him like, "Hey, I need a couple of guys to work on this Clay Davis thing." He's like, "Oh, this is gonna fuck over Clay Davis." So like, all right, you get a couple of guys, and then another great line from Daniels. Whoa, shit. Another great line from Daniels. One thieving politician trumps 22 dead bodies. Good to know.
I just want to test. Is my audio better?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Is it?
I actually do, yeah. There's
Okay.
Okay. Anyway, finally getting into some meat of what the newspaper story has in here. Gus is basically able to find a story within the story. He notices that Nerese Campbell, city council president, was heading up trying to trade properties with a drug dealer, Fat Face Rick, one of the co-op members. And they did a little bit of digging, realized that he's actually been sending money to Nerese like this whole time, at least $60,000. Alma was able to get a quote from that, just all around nice little win for the newspaper, kind of a thing of seeing how they work, like just kind of in the span of trying to get a story in that time. Checking in with Herc, he is now an investigator for a lawyer. That lawyer turns out to be Levy. So, things, eventually worked out for Herc. So, he's doing okay. Even though we see Bubbles out every night, it does seem like he is managing to stay clean. So good on him. Now it has reached to major crimes that they are going to be shut down, except for the couple guys on Clay Davis. Nobody seems to be happy about that. Get a funny little scene, and Nerese reading about herself in the paper. She's all pissed. Great. We see I couldn't remember his name as the Scott. Really wanted a part in that last story. Couldn't really find anything for it. He's hungry for work. He goes over to Gus to try to get something. Gus kind of shuts it down. He's like, we'll get something to you in due time, whatever. And then our last shot is Jimmy back in homicide and stewing to himself about the state of the police department. And that
Doing
more with
or
less.
kicking the shit out of stuff and being drunk off his ass.
After he kicks a guy out of a desk.
I mean, it's his desk. I understand. He's like, listen, we spent a year following this dude who killed 22 people, and now they told us we're off it because we're out of fucking money. And I just want to sit in my goddamn desk. I'm kind of I'm on Jimmy's side on this point.
I mean,
If
he
you
hasn't
want
been
to
in
talk about
homicide
somebody
since
that's
season 1.
if you want to talk about somebody that's completely off their fucking rocker, it's Jimmy this season. That motherfucker is lost.
Well,
yeah, this is probably the most sane he's going to be this whole season in this first episode. And I do love that. It's like almost the writers realize, oh shit, we forgot to break up the band last season. We got to tear them apart so we can build them back up.
That is the most salient point. You are so smart when you talk, Matt. Thank you. If I say it's wrong, when you say it works.
Matt, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? I thought you were on my side.
Because he's right?
I'm on all sides.
It's theme of the show. Theme of the show. We talked about it last week. But I will say you are right about the newspaper thing. The newspaper is a very good place to take it. I kind of what we talked about. I think the main reason why they waited until now to do it was because David Simon was a reporter, like for most of it, kind of before he became kind of really big into television. So I think there is a reason why he didn't involve it until now. It seemed like he wanted to do other stuff before bringing in the
I
newspaper.
think also too it's that Ed Burns, the other creator, the one who was a police officer in his former career, he was kind of off doing a HBO miniseries, Generation Kill, along the same time this was happening too. So that Damon Simon was like, I'm kind of throwing my stuff in here this season now that he's kind of splitting his time.
And I think it's interesting because I think it's like an element that you can definitely tell they have knowledge of.
Mhm.
Like it's like a Tony Scott kind of thing when he directs films. Like he puts so much knowledge into the things that you're like, that's a lot of shit. Why would I know that? But you can tell like it's not over the head. Like even the thing is like evicted people don't evict themselves, like get evicted. Like oh, you're right. Like it's about like the young. You even have the young guys versus the new. Like it's just a very interesting. Like if they came up with a spin-off for The Wire and it was off the news, but like they have some great characters inside of that.
I mean, in all honesty, a lot of the interplay is honestly not that much different than how we've seen how a lot of the police forces acted. Like at least in how how they interact and all the problems they have to deal with, like it is a lot of the same shit. It's just kind of told like in a different setting, and that setting is interesting, and I do think it is told well just because David Simon is familiar with that world. Although I do think one of these like he clearly modeled he's trying to kind of model the character somewhat after himself, which I do think like bugs me a little bit going back to this season, but it's like not like a ton, so it's not like a huge thing against it, but it still makes it for very fun television.
Yep, I totally agree.
Anyway, move on to episode 2, unconfirmed reports. We start out at an AA meeting, cold open with Bubbles. He goes up there. He goes up there, kind of made to go up there after this girl kind of pours her heart out, kind of pours out her life story on where drugs taking her, and we see kind of Bubbles starting to open up a little bit. We think he's gonna mention something, but he just can't quite do it. A little bit to the dismay of Wayland. Wayland eventually comes up to him and says, "Hey, like man, I want to see you talk about Sherrod. Like I think it's important for you to kind of be more open about that. This be a way for you to get past it."
A
Also
quick
think
side note to that too is Waylon, his sponsor. He's also a musician in real life, and he's the guy who sings the opening credits for this season.
that is also it, honestly, which my personal favorite, if I would say that. I always meant to interplay like at least on these theme songs. Honestly, I think all three of them.
It's my favorite of the all of them. So.
And I just did want to point this out because I just thought it was kind of a weird thing. I think I noticed in the last rewatch. The girl who comes up and talks about her experience in at the beginning of this episode. She, I think, weirdly gets like a kind of a mini arc through like 3 seasons because we first see her in Amsterdam buying drugs and kind of being kind of blown off there. We see her in the next season, Old Face Andre's shop, kind of bitching about her pimp and just kind of telling this to Andre, and now see her here off the drugs, add a new life. Kind of a weird thing. I feel like The Wire just did that just to kind of chuckle themselves. Hey, like, would it be funny if we just had this person show up once a season? Just
Yeah, I
give
didn't
them
know
a
that.
weird
That's
arc.
great.
Weird little thing. Anyway, Freeman and Sidner are the two detectives that are going to be handling the Clay Davis case. They're kind of going back and forth on the intricacies of it. To be honest, I still don't really understand it all that well, even though I've seen this like 4 or 5 times. A lot of money shit that just kind of gets deep into the weeds. But it does seem like they have Clay Davis. They have a good case on him, so there's at least that. Marlowe's people are realize that nobody's following them anymore. He's not being listened to, so they are ready to start to let loose. Uh, uh, First of all, he puts out a hit on a guy that was talking shit about him, a guy named Junebug. They're also going to hit on some corners on a guy that refused to take their package, and he wants to start smoking out Omar. He's still bent out of shape of getting stolen from that poker game, and also getting the drug stolen from the end of last season. So yeah, he wants to poke Sleeping Bear for some reason.
What a dumb motherfucker! You don't spit in the wind. You don't tug on Superman's cape. Why the fuck would you try? Like, and I don't even know who says it. Says was like, why the fuck would we? He wants Omar, but why the hell do you think I want him poking around like him around again? Like, take your blessings. Robin Hood is left. Leave him alone. Like, it's crazy. I mean, I'm all for it, but the shit they do in these 3 episodes, it's lit. It is the equivalent to taking John Wick's car and killing his dog. Like, you did something, and you will pay for it near the end. And it's just, I saw that scene going down. I was like, dead man walking. All 3 of them, all dead.
Oh, we will definitely. There'll definitely be more on that. You can bet your ass on that. Anyway, Jimmy decided to take. Just kind of a funny thing. Jimmy decided to take a call, go investigate a possible murder. He's having trouble finding the car. We see a little snapshot of the department's money problems. He ends up taking the bus to the murder because he doesn't think they'll pay him back for the cab.
They don't have cars. You missed the fucking. They've taken their vehicles. Like, lower crime. You can't drive now. What? He leaves at one point and asks, like, who's got a ride? Like, they all have to hitchhike now. What? Of all the districts, of all the lands to not need transportation, Baltimore ain't it? And we've seen how the school is ran. They clearly don't need the money there. What are we doing? Like,
anyway, we go back into the newspaper. We see our guys smoking out on the dock area or whatever the fuck that is, kind of in their warehouse bit. And we see Scott coming back. He seems to have a good story. Kind of found a mother of 4 seemed to have eaten a bad batch of crabs, and she's now dead. And like, oh, he seems to have a good story off of that. And like, hey, like, good for Scotty. He seemed to find something. Freeman starts staking out Marlowe's people on his own time, trying to figure out if there's still an avenue to go out and get Omar. Also, like as we're going through more newspaper shit, Scott is able to sweet talk the bosses, and he gets to do the opening day baseball story, trying to put his own spin on it. So he gets this nice sweetheart assignment. Uh, and while waiting to report on the body, Jimmy finds out a fun little piece of trivia. Uh, Gets into talking with one of his former associates. Hey, you can actually like misrepresent a crime here if you by like kind of wrapping your hands like around like a perp's neck, and maybe like it'll look like a strangle job, and you can't really tell it because of its post mortem. Kind of learn fun facts, just facts, for later on. Uh, Marlowe goes to meet up with Sergey, ends up talking to Avon. Apparently, we see Avon show up here. He seems to have the big talking. He seems to be the big talking guy. Avon knows why Marlowe's there. He knows he's trying to get a line on the connection, try to backdoor Joe. Avon's all for it because he's willing to help out any West Side guys, as he says. Freeman is able to convince Jimmy they need to take Marlowe's case up to the feds. Probably the only way that it's going to get solved. Which, I mean, they never really want to hand this off to the feds anyway. But hey, fuck it, we don't have the money to fucking do it. Why not? We see Scott going around opening day. Uh, he seems to having a lot of trouble finding a good opening day story. Talking to crossing guard, he's talking to a couple guys like who hate baseball for some reason, even though they're at the fucking Oriole game. What? And also a dad who was a Cubs fan who brought his kids. Like I don't know, like some shut the kid. So he's had a bit hard time. Although he heads back to the Sun headquarters. He says, "Hey, I actually got this really good story. I found this kid in a wheelchair. He couldn't actually go to the game because he couldn't afford a scout ticket. Uh, the kid named EJ, he's in there because he's in a wheelchair because he got hit with like a stray bullet. His parents are dead. He's living with his aunt." And it goes like, "Hey, did you get a picture of the kid or a full name or any other details?" Like, not really. He didn't really want to tell me that. Like, that's quite a quinky dink. We'll write it up and we'll see what we got. Uh,
Well, didn't they not want to publish it because it was because he didn't have the last name in it? Like they're like he's being a stickler because they don't have a last name on the kid. And the other old guy was like, "Yeah, it's fine, he'll play." Like I'm like, "What the fuck? Why is he there then? If you can just overrule him, what are we doing here?"
what the story
Gus is like a real stickler on shit, and then all of a sudden he goes, "I guess he's fine with it. We're good to go." Like, then don't be an asshole.
the story was too good though. It's like, well, we had this great story about the kid who can't get into the game. Yeah, we don't have his last name or a picture on him, but who gives a shit? It's a great story.
Yeah, fuck it. Why are we? The Baltimore Orioles suck, so why would anybody want to talk about them anyway?
I don't know. Did they suck in 2008 or I guess probably?
Oh, they're bad. They're bad. 2008. Yep, bad.
Anyway, Fitzhugh, our favorite FBI agent, tried to take up the Marlowe case up the ladder, but we go and see the old FBI guy who was just told to go fuck himself in the mayor's office, and he's not taking the fucking case. Like he wants Clay Davis. He's prepared to fuck Baltimore City, Carcetti, any which way he can. So Fed's not touching Marlowe's case, and we kind of have no recourse where we're gonna go with Marlowe's case at this point. So Jimmy and Freeman are out in their ass on this one. What was this? Oh, yeah. We got Chris and Snoop heading over to a guy named Junebug's house. They were gonna do a hit on that. Michael's there with them. I think he's kind of evolved kind of in one of their main muscle. He also heard the reason why they're going after Junebug. Doesn't quite understand it. Says all he did was talk shit about Marlowe. Seems kind of stupid. I don't know why we're trying to kill him. Uh, he is told to shut the fuck up. Where we're doing this because Marlowe told us to. Seemed good enough for him. They end up killing Junebug, and sees a kind of a mess up shot of some kid running out there. And of course, Michael didn't take the shot. Marlowe ends up talking to Sergey at the end of it. Avon's able to set up that meet, and does seem like he is closer to getting the in on Joe's Greek connection. and then Chemo's the one that catches that triple murder and seems to find a kid in the closet that somehow the cops missed. I don't know. Like the kid must just be really good at hiding. They kind of fucked that up. Uh, see Bubbles trying to figure out some type of way to spend his time. He decides to help out at a local soup kitchen. Kind of just help out doing the dishes in the back. And we kind of said this out before. Jimmy, he's on his last licks. He's tried everything. He's tried everything to try to find a way to to do police work. But you know what? The bosses aren't going to let it happen. So he's going to do it himself. Uh, him and Bunk get called out for a possible murder. It seems to be it's just like a vagrant who just kind of keeled over dead in here. Jimmy sees an opportunity. He before takes a swig whiskey. He starts fucking around at the crime scene. He's like pulling over a chair. He's like ripping shit up. He like knocks into like a bit of drywall. Like he starts messing with the victim and like rubbing like the drywall on him, like ripping his shirt. And Buck is like, "What the fuck are you doing, Jimmy? Like, why are you fucking with the crime scene?" And then he just looks up and is like, "The serial killer in Baltimore." He preys on the he preys on the homeless, and he needs to be stopped. So it looks like Jimmy is manipulating murders at this point. He has
on.
snapped.
Are you on his legal team? Are you gonna sit here and act like it looks like he's
Allegedly.
he's head first diving, Olympic diving into like he's choking out a corpse. Like even the
Bunk.
motherfucker, even the coroner was like, "Oh, this person they could have literally waited. They could have just let this guy die on himself. The strangulation's just overkill at this point. This man was near dead. Like, yeah, he was already dead. They broke it when he was dead. Like, it's crazy what they and like. Good for his buddy is like, I'm getting the fuck away from you. Like, you know what they do to pretty cops in jail? When he's like, jeez.
McNulty, I need you to go home and binge Oz.
Like, yeah, you ain't going to the police unit, motherfucker. That's crazy. Like, I was like, oh, great. That Jameson, he's fully snapped. Like, he's fucking gone now. Like, this dude is off the rocker. And honestly, I understand. Like, I get the point, right? But it's also just the dumbest point ever. Is like, well, maybe we'll just make them care because there's a serial killer on the loose. Bitch, shut up. Sorry, that just is crazy. You were like, it possibly could look like he is doing murder. No, he is fully doing him.
Well, at this point, we just see him mess with this scene. It's in the next episode where he really goes off the deep end.
No, yes, that is true. Yeah, 4 a.m. grabbing red string bullshit. God damn.
Yeah, I'll just say we're definitely entering into one of the, I'd say the more contentious parts of The Wire. I think it's probably things that definitely people point at to as not so great. It honestly doesn't bother me as a whole, just because I feel like for reasons maybe we don't even get into this episode. I'll bring them up at some point, but we're definitely entering into some of the wilder parts about The Wire. Definitely some of the more theatrical, if you will.
I do like too, in this one it kind of shows too that kind of Lester is also kind of, after like a year of getting outsmarted by Marlowe and his crew, he's kind of getting to the point where he's kind of forgetting his own advice to McNulty about the job will not save you. And he's at the point where he's like, I just need this one case. If I can just get this case, then I can die a happy man.
He's spending 24 hours in a car just following Marlowe. Like he's become just as obsessed as Jimmy. He's just not as destructive, which is why like we kind of we're kind of okay with it because like
What
he's not a
episode are
crazy
we?
guy.
What episode are we currently talking about? 2 or
This
1?
is the second one.
Is the second.
Yeah, it's just like not just this, but like even to overshine into the next show, like Breaking Bad, like the obsession with certain cops should just go to a level of like they lose themselves inside their own case, and that's like I know they're in a hard situation, right? Funding's getting cut. They don't even fucking have cars at this point. They're basically not cops. Like, and he got put back to homicide. From the outside looking in, motherfucker, you're still not let go at this point. You're still on payroll. Just go. Like, do your day to day as it is, or start applying for other things. But like to to just jump in and start like twisting murders to try to get more like I guess funding. Like, it's just a weird like stretch for me as like just as a person watching, like as a cop, like because like again, I'm gonna get yelled at from Mark, but this is a vast jump from season 4 to season 5 of McNulty. Like, he's had this in him. We've seen it from season 1, but it was Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and it's went away for a long fucking time, and now motherfucker's awake again, and now he's doing crazy ass shit. It just seems I like it, but it seems completely out of left field.
But Cody, he was promised a new day.
Sorry, bitch.
I mean, it just goes to show that even like last season, Daniels was pretty much kind of saying that, yeah, McNulty not coming back and being a detective, it sucks for us, but it's probably good for McNulty, because it's just that because he was doing good. He had a happy life, but I mean that's like it's the addict behavior. He was an addict. He dove headfirst into sobriety too, and now that he's back on this, he's back on this. So.
Is it the third episode when he does the thing when the cops pull up on him, or no?
That's the third episode,
It
yeah.
Okay.
I will say
fuck?
I will say very quickly before we jump in the third one. I'm not 100% disagreeing with you, Cody. Like, I would say probably of everything The Wire does,
Growth.
this is definitely one of the most out there things, because everything up to this point has been pretty grounded, and we aren't doing like any crazy shit. Like, we're kind of focusing in on reality, and this is definitely a thing that's like this is way above board.
This is something that feels like it's in a TV show.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna completely bite your head off over that. The thing that I do think kind of gets me over it, as I do think of like kind of as we go further, I think how The Wire handles it as far as how their characters react to the situation, I think is very good. I think on some end, like, you have the right characters make the decisions that they've been built to make. Where
Right. If Kima would have started rigging murders, I'd be like, the fuck are we doing? Like, what? If Burrell just started, like, pulling his gun out and seeing if it has an easy trick, like, doing random shit that just doesn't make sense to their character. If anybody was to do this, it's McNulty. Jimmy
McNulty's
is
the guy who wrecked on a turn and then backed up so he could try to do the turn again and wrecked.
Checkbox. This is his moves. It just seems jumped because he wasn't like this last year.
Yeah.
right.
And the show acts
But there
like it
is
was
like
this,
a year in between inside
Yeah.
the show, so yeah.
but I wish we would have known a little bit about why he went back on the bottle instead of him just jumping on the bottle. Now, I know it's an addict, so he can show up at any point. But
I think the bottle was just in his jacket when he puts on his detective jacket. The bottle's there, so.
oh, is it really? I mean, that makes sense. I was like, you just said that really well. I was like that makes sense.
I guess this is my detective
I
assessment.
mean, how they set us up, it does seem like he just was like, I got a flask. What the fuck? Time to ride, baby. Good thing they took his car, though.
All right, well, finish up the Wire this week. The third episode, Not for Attribution. Yeah, we started out pretty much like you guys talked about. Bunk finds Jimmy still plugging away at his supposed serial killer. Jimmy feels like he's found enough to where he can probably build off of like an old serial killer case. A cop in their unit kind of caught a vagrant before. He finds something like in Ray Cole's case. Bunk is like, listen, man, you can't do this bullshit. But Jimmy completely lost it. Like he just wants to solve this Marlowe case. He wants money in the police department to kind of do policing. And another great line where he brings up about Marlowe. Like Marlowe's an asshole. Like he doesn't get to win. We get to win. Like that is the mentality that Jimmy has at this point. Uh, he is also finds a red ribbon detail. He's going to try to use that to kind of string together some type of uh, s- like similarities between the case. We see him going to buy one at a store. Well, at the same time, Alma is over there trying to get the paper because like she really wants to read like her front page story about a triple murder, which actually is actually not in the newspaper. They found something else to be the front page of whatever. So bad things happen to good people here. Yeah, I was a bug, but oh yeah, Valchek brings in goes to Tommy, says, "Hey, Burrell's lying about the stats. He's been cooking them still, and he's more than likely going to bring you bad stats again." Which I mean, fucking told the guy you wanted a reduction in crime rate, and he's doing exactly what you told him to do. No, no, don't really find myself on Burrell's side much, but I do think he has a point on this one. But Tommy says, "Hey, if he comes in and owns the stats, I'm not going to be too mad at him." Uh, the main editor, like that guy at the glasses, comes in and says, "Hey, there's going to be more cuts. We shut down a lot of these newspaper offices, so be prepared to that. That is going around the office." Jimmy uh, is able to get a ribbon on his new body, uh, set it up for this serial killer thing. He's also able to get it confirmed as an homicide from the people at the morgue. So he is on his way to some
Yeah,
bullshit.
even though the morgue lady was like, "Yeah, my investigator missed the red strip." You fucking think like, oh, it's just
It's high
magically.
up on his wrist. It's okay.
But listen,
It wasn't on anybody's wrist until this motherfucker showed up, and now it's on his wrist.
uh, li- listen, everybody's underpaid, so they're gonna miss everything.
Ah,
Okay.
yeah. They cut
That's
the
one of my
camera.
favorite
They
parts of
cut
this
the
episode.
cameras. They took those scene pictures. They cut that a long time ago. So
Uh, yeah, we go in. Borelka has a meeting with the mayor. He brings in the phony numbers. Tommy realizes it, gives him a chance to come clean. He doesn't. So Tommy is more or less done with Burrell at this point after coming in with the bad numbers again. Tommy wants to start floating around the idea of Daniels being commissioner. He's starting to get that thing going. Marlowe trying to get a hold of Spiros Vondas, whatever the fuck his name is now. He's trying to figure out how to backdoor Joe on his connect. I think he headed over to that old Greek restaurant, gave them a briefcase full of cash. Grand jury for Clay Davis is starting to take place, and pretty much all the other people that had subpoenas brought onto them. Uh, just funny seeing Sidnor walking, like reading in there about vice presidents and such. Who the fuck isn't one? Uh, Jimmy is trying to get another detective to hear about his detail of an old case, and that guy couldn't get less of shit. Uh, he's just trying to make sure the stain sets in for drawers or whatever the hell he's got at his house. Michael and Dookie decide to go to Six Flags in lieu of a teacher holiday, trying to have a scene where they feel normal, feel like teenagers for a bit. Uh, Joe shows Marlo a few ways to clean and hide his money. He says, "Hey, I got this thing where I give this money to like these parishioners. They're building some shit in Africa, and they also, and they, either give me back some clean cash." He told them about this kind of what was it, the offshore bank account he can hide and clean his money in. So Joe helping out Marlo is like, why would he need clean money? Like, doesn't make I'm just helping a guy out. Uh, Oh yeah, and then the scene that we were talking about earlier, because McNulty's back on his bullshit. He picks up a woman at a bar, and I guess he couldn't find a room, car, whatever. He's just banging away on some car. A cop finds him, and he just flashes the badge and just keeps it going.
He gotta get out of jail. Like, I fuck for free right here. Like, the fuck is this? What? We're underpaid. Yeah, I'm not taking him McNulty. Whatever. Enjoy sex.
I just love how he flashes the badge, puts it down, and then proceeds as if
Proceeds. Just doesn't slow at all.
It's like they're not going to get out of their car and ask me any questions because I'm a cop. So Norman goes and feeds the Burrell firing to the paper. He, I guess, used to work at the paper. He tells it to Gus. And so Gus starts moving this up the ladder a bit. The Greeks make it clear to Marlowe that they really have no interest in dealing with him. They only want to deal with Joe, especially after he brought him a briefcase full of dirty money. Which is why Marlowe, is like, hey, goes in, looks up for all this clean money, because he just wants to set up his deal. That's all he wants. Jimmy finally gets that other cop to bite on this red ribbon detail. He's like, oh, like I had a case with a red ribbon in it. Like, I wonder what this could be about. He's able to bring that over to Jay, and Jay is like, hey, you said these guys were homeless, right? Yeah, they were homeless. Yeah, we don't give a shit. They're fucking homeless. Like, nobody cares. Like, whatever. This something Cody brought up a little bit. Marlowe goes over to Joe. He wants to put a line out on Omar. And Joe is, like Cody says, like, yeah, why the fuck would I want that guy back in town? He's gone. I want him to stay gone. So, we're just not going to talk about it again, essentially. Oh, yeah, like, they are kind of out, Gus brings to the team about the mayor's, or the commissioner situation. Their crime reporter was the one who just got bought out. He's reporting on that crime. He gets Scott to help him out with something. He gives him what was a very good reaction quote, something about Daniels being critical of Burrell the entire time, sharpening the knife and whatnot, even though, we never actually see Scott call anybody, so, could be this person said it, could be like, I don't know, I don't think we have enough evidence to say he's a liar or not, but, he definitely seems like a little bitch move. We'll just say that. Marlowe goes back to the Greeks with the clean money, gives it over to those guys, so then they got what he needs. Jimmy going over to the papers, trying to get some traction on these homeless killings. He talks to Alma, try to get that going. Cheese goes against Joe's word, and he tells Chris about Butchie. Says, hey, if anybody knows where Omar is, it's Butchie. So go and find him, and he'll set you up. Michael catches some shit about taking the day off on his corner. So again, reminder why he can't be a kid. Burrell sees a story about him and Daniels in the paper. He pretty much knows writing on the wall is over. Daniels says, yeah, I didn't say this bullshit. I don't know why they put it in the paper, but Rhonda pretty much sees the writing on the wall. Is like, hey, this is pretty good. Says you're going to be commissioner. I'd be a little bit more happy about that. Jimmy sees it on the paper. His homeless killer story didn't get any traction. There along with some ads and some bullshit. So he's upset. Jay tells him, hey, shake it for another day or two, and if not, you're back in the rotation. So clearly, Jimmy not really getting anywhere of his homeless story, and he's having trouble getting these guys to notice. Cedric meets up with his ex-wife. She's a little worried that Burrell's gonna dump that dirt on him about him, taking some money and shit. So he's got to deal with that. And no, we'll start out with that. What was good? Oh, Bunk is tired of hearing the shit from Jimmy. He says, you know what? I'm gonna bring in Freeman. If I can't talk sense to Jimmy, Freeman ought to do it. And then Freeman hears all this shit. He's like, you know what? I think you're onto something here. I think maybe if we just add in a couple more details, I think we can probably figure this out, pull it in. And then
Bunk's like, I'm fucking out. Like, You two fucking idiots. I'm out. Like, it's so good. Like,
But so again, now Freeman is in on the homeless killing team and see what we can do.
we need to give it a name. We need to give him a name. He needs to kill again. What the fuck?
Anyway. Oh yeah. We also get kind of a funny thing about Clay going to Tommy about helping him out with the Burrell situation. Tommy says he doesn't need it, so Clay is not getting any help from anywhere. So Clay seems more fucked by the day, and we end off with Chris and Snoop making their run at Butchie, kill a guy in his shop, torture the hell out of him, crash a bottle on his head, shoot out his kneecaps. Butchie's not giving up anything though; he stays quiet, and then realize they're not going to get anything out of him. They shoot Butchie right in the head. They leave a guy alive to tell the story, which eventually gets to Omar while he's with Ronaldo in some South American island country, possibly the DR. My guess is the Dominican Republic. Could be
Somewhere with no Honey Nut Cheerios.
Right. And he does unfortunately hear the bad news about Butchie, that Butchie is dead. And that is where the episode ends, and that is for not for attribution.
They're basically just saying that you're not really ready, because I think it's in a different language. I may be wrong, but like they're talking to him or whatever. But you know exactly what they're saying, and his face drops, and you're just like, "Oh, you dumb fucks! You dumb fucks!" Like, and if it was to like try to get one, Omar still's on Honey Nut, still talking about Honey Nut Cheerios. Good man, doesn't leave stuff. But man, when they're torturing that guy, arguably some of the brutalest stuff that The Wire has done, like that guy, I don't know, like he's been featured in this show, like has that like relationship with Omar, like you have that connection. Sweet guy, doesn't really do anything, and him in that situation just getting, they're just not, he's one not giving anything and just keeps getting wailed on and then dies, and then basically it's that old homage, like as far as the world is, like news travels, and it goes right to the and you asked for it, you're going to regret those decisions for asking for Omar to be back in. So I mean, as a fan, I'm like, fuck yeah, bring Omar. Now you just, Omar's already a fucking psychopath, now you pissed him off, so let's go. So I love it. I loved it. I think it's a great 3 episodes. Again, I've been jacked up before, but like this 3 were like, let's go. Jimmy's crazy. They're doing murder. There's newspaper involved. Omar's now pissed. There was it's everything. It's like all the Wire, and they even brought back like in these 3 episodes of like the greatest hits. Like they brought some like, hey, we got to bring the Greek guy back for like the part of the Greek just to bring him back in the fold. Like, I was like, let's go. It's like an all-star season.
Get his $100,000.
Yeah, it's like it's an all-star season. I was like, let's go. Avon's here. Like we got the whole crew in this at some point. So let's see it. But yeah, I think it's a great 3 episodes. I told them like it's the best 3-start episode of a season that I've had since watching The Wire. And I know that's like, what the fuck? But no, it just worked. Everything worked for me. It's like a perfect puzzle for me. So, yep.
Matt.
Yeah, I mean, like Cody said, I mean, I think it's actually a really strong start. I know season 5 has kind of got mixed reactions with the fans of The Wire. Like I said, I know that 3 and 4 are definitely my favorites, but I think I'm having the same effect that I had with season 2, where on the rewatch I'm actually enjoying it more this time around. So I really love the whole sequence with bringing Lester in, and Bunk thinks that Lester's going to come in here and talk some sense into you, get you off of this whole thing, shut it down, and then he just jumps in on Jimmy's side. It's like, oh, that's great. And I love the Jimmy was meeting with Alma, and he pretty much hits on her, like, and she's like, "I have a boyfriend." She was like, "Is he bigger than me?" He got
a boyfriend. Is he bigger than me? What kind of life is that, Jimmy? What the fuck?
That's McNulty special right there.
I thought that was nuts.
I do feel bad for Beatty though, because I think we do see her in one of these 3 episodes. We see her at home with the light on, and she goes to turn the light off, and then she turns it back on before she goes to bed. So
She hasn't given up on him yet, and that's at least nice to see.
I mean, all he needs is a job transfer, and he'll go back to where he was.
You talked about like the I think the also cool thing is like the newspaper like writing the story about Burrell getting pushed out and Daniels being moved up, and like the DEA was like, oh, you're gonna be the leader of the, like, I'm telling you right now, this is like for me, when he gets offered that job, which I understand, but this would be the similar thing as the Titanic just hit that fucking iceberg, and then he just turns to the guy and goes, "You want this? Fuck you, not a chance." We're at the bottom of who wants to take over this police force right now? I wouldn't want to touch it with a 10-foot. We're not even paying paychecks right now. Also, I don't know if you touched on it, but like when who's the guy that's given? He's now like he's moved up the ranks. Herkin
Carver.
He's sitting up there like talking to all of them, like trying to be big boy personnel, like yelling. I'm looking like, shut up, bitch! Like you don't get to yell at me. But they're like, you don't even pay overtime right now. It's like it will all be figured out. Fuck that. Like, oh, by the way, for further notice, you're not using your cars. The fuck? Like it was like crazy. Oh, and then that one episode where he's like, yeah, this is commanding office. Like you need to turn in your car. What? Yeah, it just came down to no higher ranking people can have vehicles with like return vehicles. What the fuck is happening? It's crazy. Yeah, sorry. I just went. I was great for great episodes.
I'm not gonna stop you from talking about the Wire. Listen, I've been waiting for this the whole time. Like, a little dismayed with this season, but you know what? I'll take it.
Hopefully, I'll be more on the next show that you have selected to the group.
We'll see. As a whole, I do think kind of these two episodes a lot of them are kind of set up. This third episode is pretty fucking awesome though. A lot of great shit happened, and all the stuff that I think is really good about the newspaper stuff, we are starting to see stuff peeking out about it. So that is just that for me is only going to get better because I feel like the newspaper stuff for this season is just aged impeccably well.
I feel like my only complaint would be that it's making Prop Joe look like an idiot, where he's just like not seeing this Marlowe stuff come. But I mean, Marlowe was outsmarting Lester and the Wire crew for like a whole year too. So I mean, don't underestimate Marlowe. He can kind of make you think he's not as smart as he is. So
he's just a fucking son of a bitch. He really is. Every time I rewatch The Wire, I realize Marlo Stanfield really is just the perfect villain.
Mm-hmm.
Like he is just the worst fucking guy, and he doesn't care about anybody.
I mean, with Avon, as long as you don't mess with his corners, you'd be okay. But at Marlowe, you could just be like a security guard working at a store, and you could get killed just like that. Just be in the wrong place at the wrong time with Marlowe.
He killed a guy and his wife because he was talking shit about him. Like that's how nuts he is.
Yeah, right. Dude, can we just let him go? Like, nah, man. Like what about like? Yeah, it's talking about being gay. Like, what if he didn't do it? Like, if he wasn't gay, like, is he really that bad? Like, no, he's talking shit. We gotta take him. Let's do a whole classic drive-by. Just they miss everything. He's like, boom. All right.
Talk about a better show right now.
No. So normally we would save a season finale for the end of the show. We're not doing that today because arguably the 3 episodes of Breaking Bad are immensely better than the whole season 5 of Oz.
I mean, technically, if you want to look at it with Breaking Bad, we got a mid-season finale and a mid-season premiere. So
I like the way you think. So we are going to go to the 2 episodes of Oz. We're going to finish season 5. We will talk about Breaking Bad, and then we'll go back through and put season 5 maybe higher than season 4. I don't know, but it ain't going much for. I don't know. We'll talk.
All right.
So take it away.
This should be pretty quick. Not a whole lot happened on the show. So these
really it doesn't. No, you're right.
All right. So season 5, episode 7, Good Intentions. We start out with McManus visiting Hill in the infirmary, and then we have Poets and the Mole kind of pointing Redding towards Chico, because Redding's still trying to figure out who gave Hill the drugs. And this leads to kind of like a big fight between Redding and Morales, who are then both sent to the hole. We find out that a jury has found Cyril guilty of murder. Ryan isn't going to let the lawyer plead with the judge about Cyril's mental state. Ryan's pretty much kind of at the point where he kind of just wants to let Cyril go. He thinks that death row will free him from the suffering of Oz and put him at peace. He gets in a fight with his mom about it. And Father Daniel, the priest who just came to Oz last week, he wants to help out Cyril, so he's going to try to help out with that situation. Then we see Ryan starts a fight with Jai, so he can use the guards to pretty much take him out, and he gets killed in that process.
Yeah. He turns into a fucking... He just tries to just ninja attack all of them. Like, what the fuck are we doing? Don't you just notice them? And then he grabs the baton and beats the fuck. And he's like, and they hit him. He's like, thanks for the assist. Yeah.
And then so that because he already had the head trauma from before, so then the guards go to beat him a little bit extra later, and that kind of does him in. So he's gone. We get a little bit some more of the back to the dog training. So we have Penders was asked to clean up some dog poop on the floor, and he was not too keen on that, and he ends up getting his dog to attack the guard, kind of biting him on the throat area and stuff.
After the guard puts his face in shit.
Fair. I guess it's just
possibly attack him too. And possibly on my dog to attack him too.
Yeah, so that kind of puts a blemish on the program. But on the other hand, Alvarez completed the training with his dog, and the blind guard comes to take the dog. So that was nice, and we find that Alvarez actually taught the dog the commands in English and in Spanish, because the guard speaks a lot of Spanish in his home. So nice little moment for Alvarez. He's on a good path right now. I'm sure nothing bad will happen. McManus is probably sleeping with his ex-wife again. I don't know if they actually full out said it, but you get the impression.
Who fucking cares? Who fucking cares?
I couldn't tell. I don't know. I don't know what you're saying.
And then we get Ribadao is really just having tough luck finding help for his grandson. McManus tried to find a donor that matched in the prison. That didn't go out well. And someone was trying to tell him he needs to get like a medicine woman or something, a healer, to go see him, but the family's not keen on that. So that's just a whole... It was about 15 minutes of waste in this episode. A prisoner tells Leo that Timmy Kirk was behind the church fire from last week. Leo can't really prove that, but he is able to find someone to talk about the murder of Jim Burns and point to Timmy Kirk on that. So he's been charged with that murder. We have Peter Shabetta still kind of just struggling with his surroundings. He's not having a good time with life. Robson is worried about his new gums. The dentist tells Leo that he quits and he's leaving. Before he leaves, though, he gets a Poet to kind of spread word that Robson has a black man's gums. And, of course, then Robson is able to get to see the dentist alone in his office because, it's Oz. So,
yeah.
But the dentist is able to get the better of him, and he gets away.
But then he also yells, guard. So the guy got in, but then he was able to get the guard to get him, make sure. Like, that's good, convenient. Worked.
Yeah, it worked out for him. So he's gone. We're never going to see him again, I'm sure. And then Vern, unfortunately, has to kick Robson out of the Aryan gang because he's no longer pure. We get Sister Pete visits Keller.
No, stop! You're not gonna brush over that one. That the High Council has now met, and we know we have standards and rules and all this stuff, and these are against the high table's request. So this man has to go.
Which means it
That's
sounds
not
like
it.
the high table guy wasn't really too big on Robson anyway, which can't really
What
blame
the
him.
fuck does it matter to you? This is just the inner chapel of the.
You made me come all the way down here for this shit. Next time, just call me.
Yeah, call me.
Cody, white supremacists are known for a lot of things. One of them is their integrity. Okay,
Mhm.
they
Yeah.
have that.
But why have we not had a checkup in 5 seasons of Schillinger just doing things and like?
Well,
Has he checked with the high priestess?
Schillinger
he doesn't
wouldn't
like being
necessarily
called
do that, so they had to bring in someone above Schillinger.
Yeah, that's fair.
As
And
far
one
as
of the
we
most
know,
brutal
since everyone-
scenes of him getting drugs and trying to scrape his gums.
Oh yeah, that's coming up in the next episode.
Sorry.
No, you're good. So we got Beecher talks to Saeed about what he did to Adam, and Saeed tells him that in order to punish himself, he should not ever see Keller again. Beecher tries to transfer out of the mailroom, but McManus won't let him. McManus is able to get word, or Beecher is able to get word to Sister Pete, though, that he should probably visit Adam and kind of check up on him, and she'll see why when she goes to see him. She brings it up during the meeting that Beecher, Vern, and Saeed have, but kind of no one's saying anything about any of that. But it does get Vern a little nervous about the whole Adam situation, so they decide that they are going to help Adam escape. And by helping him escape, they pretty much throw him on the fence so he gets electrocuted and is killed. And that's the end of this episode.
Yeah, who gives a fuck? Like, oh, the guy, like Beecher tried to help the guy. He fought him on every step of the way. Like I said last episode, he saw his one friend and was like, man, well, Beecher hasn't made me do any of that stuff. But no, fuck him. Fuck him. I hate him. Blah, blah, blah. Now you're in the other world. Enjoy. Like, what are you doing? Like, I feel zero sympathy for him whatsoever. I know you're supposed to. I just don't. Like, he did it to himself.
It does give me a better appreciation for Beecher now. He's been able to survive all of this stuff. Because, I mean, this guy's
Right.
been in almost the same scenario where he came in and went through all the same stuff. And he didn't last.
Basically,
like, a couple
Andy
of weeks.
Dufresne right there. Like,
And Vern's been
Got it.
trying this whole time to get rid of Beecher and just hasn't been able to do it. So good for Beecher at least. Mark, do you have anything before we move on?
I will say about this episode, I think I did enjoy about it was I feel like throughout this episode, we either got like some minor wins, a little minor win from Alvarez. I kind of like, oh, he actually did a genuine, nice thing, and that was the end of what we saw of that. So I did like that. And then in a couple of cases, we saw bad things actually happen to bad people in this. It didn't happen often in Oz, where Timmy Kirk is now probably going to be on death row, and Robson is now excommunicado of the Brotherhood. Couldn't have happened in a nicer guy. But at least glad that happened. Then, but yeah, still mostly right. Like, does feel like a lot of nothing. Where I feel like at the end of this episode, I kind of sat there thinking, what exactly is Beecher's story for this season, other than not being able to see Keller? Like, what was the thing? If it, honestly, like this thing with this guy who just died is like, hey, we realized we had nothing for Beecher, so we might as well give him something in like the last 2 episodes.
Yeah, and I did, like I said, like I kind of hinted at last episode, I did remember from when I watched it when it came out, I did remember the dog attacking someone, so I kind of transposed that onto Alvarez. I thought Alvarez had trained the dog to attack the guard when he came to get him. So I'm glad that wasn't how that played out. So
the ending of his story is much funnier.
also, we'll get into it. Arguably, I know it's a part of the prison system to talk about this thing that's going to happen to Alvarez in the next one. The most laughable case possible to even be able to consider it. You expect us to believe he is this close. Got it.
But Cody, he
I
did this
know.
with the dog.
They felt that because he trained a dog in Spanish, that you can overlook 30 different offenses.
You know
Since
how
we
hard
met
I
this,
can't even get my dogs to be quiet. He made his dog bilingual.
I was dumbfounded. I was like, Oh, you know who they should also get? They should get like every serial killer and just give them parole. Like, what are we doing? Like, there's some people in Oz
all month. We should parole them.
like, I don't even know who you would have been like more before he died was if they said, Adam Basie, you're almost up for parole. Excuse the fuck out of you, what? Like,
well,
this, I was like,
you did all that good work in the AIDS ward.
I was
mean, granted, you gave a guy AIDS, but still.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on to the season 5 finale, episode 8, Impotence. Robson returns to Unit B and is alone. Robson is able to go get some drugs, and he tries to cut his gums out. It does not go well for him. I think he gets to maybe a half an inch before he just collapses in pain and starts screaming. And then that's kind of it for him, I believe, this season. As we were talking about Alvarez, we find out he is up for parole. McManus is writing him a nice letter of recommendation. Leo is not. In fact, Leo says, I'm going to call the parole board right now. And I did during the scene, though, I was like, holy shit, though. They actually had guards walking around the prison at nighttime. I think this is the first time we've ever seen that. So
they had an initiative about movement.
And yeah, so Alvarez goes to the parole board, and he thinks he's got a good case, but then the parole board pretty much talks about all the horrible things he's done, the people he's been killed, and the escape that he masterminded and everything. So it doesn't really go his way. He ends up attacking the parole board, and then he gets thrown in solitary.
Like, bro, you spent half your time in prison in solitary over violent stuff that you've done this entire. What do you think is the answer here?
And half that time you had your poop smeared all over the walls while you were there.
Oh, it's like if I was the parole guy and I was sitting there, I would have been the exact same way. I'm like, what the fuck do you think? I'm letting you fuck around. You've done all this fucking shit. Why the fuck would I let you out? And he's just like, what? It gets angry. I'm like, bitch, you blinded a cop. That's enough to tell you you're never leaving this place. Dumb.
Poor guy. I'm sure things will get better for him next season.
Yeah.
We find out that Pancamo has gone into a coma due to his staph infection, so he's not doing too well. Then we go over to the Aryan side. Cutler tells Vern that he wants to kill Saeed in order to prove that he's worthy of joining the Aryans. Someone warns Omar White about this, and White pretty much tells Cutler to stay away. And they get in a fight, and White almost kills him. And of course, Saeed makes him go tell McManus about it because he figures, hey, Omar did bad, but we're gonna go explain the situation. It doesn't work out. McManus sends him to solitary. Then McManus and his ex-wife kind of get in a fight about it. Rebadow gets to go visit his grandson, who's not doing too well. And while he's doing that, Norma comes to visit the mole, trying to explain why she wasn't there for their wedding. And it's revealed that she is pregnant.
Immaculate conception. How the fuck do you think he's going to react to it? Fuck yeah. Dude's a virgin. Couldn't even get a shot at it. He literally just took... Nice.
Rebadow comes back later that day, and he's kind of almost in a comatose state. There's a really bad storm out there, and it messes up the electricity, which causes his grandson's medical equipment to shut off, and he dies. So that's a sad little part. But hey, Brass returns to the prison just in time. He says he wants to give Rebadow the money so he can help his grandson.
Yeah, and the hospitals don't. The good news is, past Oz, we put in generators for hospital equipment, so when people are on life support and stuff, they don't die. What the fuck? Oh, you just the whole hospital's fucked. If a power outage goes out, can't do anything. Crazy.
Did they say it was at the hospital, or was the kid at the home? Because he was. I don't know.
Was he at home?
I don't know. It sounded like
Okay,
they
well
were
then
pretty
here's a
much...
better option. You might want to have a generator nearby if your kid's on these machines need it.
Yeah. So,
And then he shows back up. I want to give Reba down the money. I literally sat there. I'm like, you're fuck what? Sure.
Do you think they told him, "Oh, the grandson died"? I was like, "Oh, okay, I'm gone."
I would have ran. Like, you would have never seen my ass again. I promise you. Like, what are we talking about?
It was a missed opportunity for him to show back up, like in some sunglasses and like a Hawaiian shirt and like in this big hat.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I decided to do the right thing. Like,
I would have rather a phone call finally get through to the island and he's sitting there with a pina colada and be like, Reba Dow who? What? I don't even fucking know you, buddy. Bye.
But yeah, then we move back over to Beecher, who kind of after unsuccessfully helping Adam, he decides he wants to help Franklin. So Beecher kind of speaks up during the meeting with Vern and Saeed and Sister Pete, and he kind of tells her kind of everything that's kind of going on. And Vern has been now found. I think they had the charges added to him for raping Adam and Franklin. He's sent to solitary. We also find out Keller has been found guilty of murder, and he's moved on to death row. But Beecher finally gets to visit him now. He tells Saeed, no, I'm not. I'm going to ignore that whole not visiting him. That he needs to know that I care about him. So they have a nice little moment together.
And what's he getting executed on Thursday? They said, like instantly, like
it's coming up.
I know he has a peel, but fuck it, we could probably fit him in Thursday. You want to put a needle in his arm? Yeah, let's kill a great character, please. Let's just. We're already going to kill somebody else. Let's just kill another great character. Let's just keep it up.
And speaking of death row, we go and see Cyril. The one dick guard makes him leave Jericho the sock puppet behind as they move him over to death row. He ends up getting upset and fights a whole bunch of the guards. Father Daniel, who's been trying to help out, he's doing some digging, and he finds out about that Ryan had a sister, Carolyn, who died as a baby. And Ryan doesn't much like talking about that. He ends up punching him, and he then kind of breaks down in his arms, crying. Ryan visits with his father, and he tells him that he saw him shake her to death as a baby. Sister Pete returns Jericho to Cyril, so he's a little bit happy. Ryan is now on board. He wants to try to help save Cyril, so he's going to work with Father Daniel and Sister Pete.
And his execution is coming up too.
Yep. It's coming up.
I think they're doing a double header on Thursday.
Well, hopefully the power doesn't go out.
Yeah, hopefully.
And then we have kind of to wrap it up. We have Hill returns to M City. He gets out of the infirmary. He tells Poet not to worry. He's not going to rat him out to Redding. Redding and Hill have a nice little heart-to-heart moment. And then to end the episode, Cillian is about to shank Redding, but Hill kind of jumps in there and takes one for the team, and Hill's dead. We have a empty little booth there with his wheelchair. So
you said something very interesting. Can you repeat what you said? He did what to it?
he kind of jumped there in front of the shank.
Jumped?
I mean, he's got the arm strength. He can kind of...
Man is in a wheelchair without use of his legs. Man is not jumping. And you know how bad you are at assassinating when you hit the guy in the wheelchair? You hit the dude in the wheelchair. That's terrible. Good job. Keller's going... Augustus is dead. Like, you know what? I thought that we just do a double homicide of Vern stabbing Beecher, so we'd have literally no reason to watch season 6. Jesus Christ! It is by far the worst season finale. Like, of interest, maybe 5, maybe 4 is a bit worse, but like, there's just nothing. Like, Hill dying is just like. Okay? Hill should have died a lot of other ways. That's the way we're going to kill Hill? Like, I think it would have been better, like, looking back on it, like, when Daniel's the other cop, like, when he gets, like, up to him, like, him just finally going crazy, like, and killing Hill would have been an interesting move. Like, he already's in jail and then he ended up dying. But like taking out Hill at that point in time would have been interesting. We've all known that Hill's pretty boring at this point of a character. Like he's just the snitch and rolls around. But yeah, I thought it was a weird. It does not, after 5 seasons, does not have the emotional arc it would have possibly had in season 3 versus season 5. Now I'm just like, oh, Hill dead. Okay. And like McManus is like looking like his loved one just like died. Like
he was the best of us. He was so pure.
Yeah. They see me rolling. They hate me.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. There's a lot of time. There's a lot of points in this episode where like, oh, this is supposed to be a big moment. And like, and again, it's like, oh, the big moment for Beecher is like he sees Keller. It's like, what? That's really what we're leading up with Beecher this whole time? Like, this is stupid. And on its head, like, I guess Vern going to solitary, oh, it's a big thing. Vern's finally getting punished. But like, solitary is like where characters go to fucking die. Like, what's the story gonna be with Vern next season? Like, probably not good. Like, if that's where he's at. I mean, and weird. It felt a little bit bad for Omar. Just like he seemed to be doing okay, and then like stupid. I'm just saying, McManus decided to care about Alvarez, but he doesn't care about Omar. Is he just that annoying?
No one should care about Omar. The writers of Oz don't care about Omar.
I mean, he was actually kind of good this season, and then like he's actually kind of good. Not like
good in what way? Please tell me what way. Acting is not it.
He wasn't super offensive in this episode.
They didn't give him shit to do.
Exactly.
He was a singer.
I meant good as in he wasn't like fucking up in the prison.
He wasn't as annoying and stupid as he was last
He didn't try to stab somebody this season like he's done in all the other seasons. Yeah.
And like he killed a guy to protect here. He almost killed a guy to protect Saeed, and that ends up fucking him over.
That's growth.
Yeah. I don't know. And me personally, though, because I don't remember if it's like a sports meme or if it was actually one when like it's like to that episode in Game of Thrones, like with the Night King, but. Part of me, like, in my head, it was that meme of, like, all the people in the bar just looking at the TV, and then there's like, like that's what happened to me when Hill died.
If you don't think he's going to be back, if you don't think he's still going to be narrating next season, I guarantee they'll find a way to make him narrate
next year.
I will say I was curious, so I watched the first 10 minutes. So
he does.
You get to see what they do.
It was short-lived. We'll just say that. My celebration was good for 10 minutes.
Okay, so I just saved it. We have too much in Breaking Bad to go through, so let's just get this one out of the way.
Knock up the rankings.
What's everybody's rating on this episode?
I mean, for me, it's just this season was just kind of meh. I didn't really think it was good or bad. Really, it was just kind of there, which is refreshing after how bad the last half of the last season was. But this didn't like really reignite my love for this show. So
I think it's on the same level of season 4, just maybe ranked higher because it's less disappointing. But it could also be worse.
Yeah, I mean, I ranked it a little because I gave season 4 a 2, and I'm gonna give this a 2.5.
Okay, I'm with you at a 2.5.
I really want to give it a 2, even though I don't like. I just don't care about anything really. I will still give it a 2.5, but like I do think this is probably worse than season 4, just because I think at least season 4 has like some good moments in it. I don't think season 5 has very many. Like it has almost none. It just has moments I kind of think are okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. Season 4 is one of the hardest one to juggle because like I still say if you do the season 4 first 8 episodes, it's probably the top Oz.
It's the best season. I think it's easily the best season.
But that final set of Oz is the worst season of Oz.
The worst, like no question. The worst.
So with that being said, I have to go with what you can't build me up and then cut my head off. I have to. My vote would be of the seasons. It would be at one higher than season 4. But I agree with. I 100% agree with what you said.
Yeah.
I believe there's parts of 4 that are arguably better, but I don't think there's anything worse in season 5 that is as bad as the stuff they do in season 4.
And I mean, it's their fault for how they lumped those 2 seasons together.
The old crap was the bus thing. The bus thing was the start of this one, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty bad too. You know what? Let's just do it both. Let's just tie them at the bottom.
Like we're arguing about last place. Like it does. I don't think
because it's definitely not better than season 1 of Oz.
No.
I still can't believe season 1 of Oz is our least comparable, but I guess 2 and 3 were better.
I got a feeling. I feel like Oz is going to be able to rebound in this. I honestly think it's going to have the best season 6 out of all these shows.
I totally agree with you on that. You guys want to talk about Breaking Bad?
Nah, let's just go home.
Yeah, that's fair. So when anybody asks me my favorite part of Breaking Bad, there are episodes, there are moments, there's closures and stuff like this. This run, this chunk, 7, 8, 9. Like I can, if you could give me the Men in Black like eraser, and I can see what Hank does when it finally clicks, it's arguably one of the greatest moments. So,
Cody, were you watching live when this happened?
I was not. I was not.
So I was watching live.
I
and
would
I had to
have
wait like
died.
a whole nother year to get to that next episode. Oh.
The feeling I had after watching 9, where I became a loose cannon, where I could not stop, and I played the rest of the season out. I was just back in it. And again, like I talked to some friends or whatever about this, like the past week. I talked to Coho, I talked to other people. Like Walter White back is my favorite thing in media, like to a huge level. He is so complex and where he goes in this story. But we'll get to it. We're going to start with it. I was mad at Mark for making it end before it. This opening is arguably up there. If I had top 10 spots, this is in my top 10. Say my name. So basically, we just ended. Jesse's telling Mike, basically, Jesse, I want to look back. I will do another watch because I basically watch this show every year. But how many times Jesse should have killed Walt and didn't, and maybe if he just says no or says yes, like what would have been different? But basically, Walt has a plan to be able to get money and get them out of the situation. So Walt meets with basically the people he's going to sell the methamphetamine to, and I shouldn't say Walt is meeting with anybody. Heisenberg is meeting with people. Walt doesn't exist anymore. He is full Heisenberg. He's sitting there and he's like, I'm going to cut you guys in for 35%. You guys handle the distribution. And they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, we were here to sell $15 million for your entire thing of methamphetamine. We are not going to be your pack boats. But he's basically telling him, like, you guys are the Little League Baseball team, and I'm the New York Yankees. You're the off-brand generic Coke, and I'm classic Coke. And the classic line is, what if we just waste you right here? Do you really want to live in a world without Coca-Cola? It's like, The reason is Mike's getting out of the business. You have the two meth cooks in the game. Looks back at Jesse. Jesse looks over at Mike because Jesse is supposed to be getting out of this deal. Walt has basically just roped him right back into it. $5 million to Mike because Mike is going to be retiring. He's leaving our crew, so that leaves 35% open for you guys to do it as long as you can keep up with what Mike was doing for us. And then he sits there and he takes out the cook. He's like, you went to a P2P cook to emulate me. You put blue food coloring into your stuff. You want to be me. Like, you do everything to emulate me, but you can't do it. He's like, a better yield, a better product, a better quality, $130 million left on the table. And then he's like, why cut us in? Like, why do this? Blah, blah. And he basically sits there and tells them, and he's like, and they stop and goes, who the hell are you? And he's like, you know exactly who I am. Say my name. What? Say my name. I'm the cook. I'm the guy who killed Gus Fring. And they go, no, you didn't. Cartel got him. And the guy looks over at Mike, and Mike goes, so say my name. And he's like, you're Heisenberg. You're goddamn right. Boom. Oh, just everything in it. Just like that camera shot of looking up at Walt in his glasses, just like, goddamn right. Episode cuts back. A lawyer. They're basically talking about Mike and them going through the money. Jesse's like, basically, Walt says, Jesse, you can stay with me until we switch over the operation. Like, don't be like, that's the least you can do for me. Mike's like, good luck, kid. Like, you're on your fucking own. Like, we're out. They go back to the car wash. That's where the methylamine was stored at. Jesse and them get it. A lawyer is at a bank, meets with this woman, swoozing her, doing all the nice thing. Banana, bacon cookies, whatever the fuck that shit. And just like, ooh. And so he's basically taking Mike's money, paying all the money to the people to do the stuff. And that situation.
A little bit for Kaylee's 18th birthday.
Yeah. Mike's basically like leaving stuff in places for. He is clearing up his situation. Like, he's making sure it's for his daughter, left her for her 18th birthday. He has like 10 safe deposit boxes. That's all for everybody. And they're all good with waiting. Like you said, everybody's good as long as the money's going to be there. They're fine. DEA comes knocking on Mike's door. Well, none of the money and none of the situation's there anymore. He comes through. The DEA like searches why Mike is just sitting on the couch just watching TV while they're going through everything. They can't find anything because Mike clearly doesn't put anything in the situation. Walt and Jesse basically have a whole conversation about Jesse's like, I'm out. Like, I'm not doing that. Like, you can keep your money. I don't want it. I'm out. Like, and Walt's not basically having, you can help me by cleaning this stuff. Like, he doesn't catch on that Jesse is officially out. Like, he wants nothing to do with it. He wants no more money. He wanted the money. He wanted the $5 million so he can get off and be away, but that's not an option to him. He's like, you will not get a penny unless you do this, like all the situations. Hank is in a budget meeting for the police department. Basically, he gets called to stay behind class and talk to the principal. Principal basically, the head of the guy is like, you're the Mike tail, the budget's zero. You're not doing it. We're not doing it anymore. Like, have nothing more to do it. Who does he say to follow? Pinkman?
The lawyer. The
lawyer.
Yeah.
Said nothing about the lawyer. It's all because all the people are represented by one lawyer except one, and Mike's and the person's represented by him. So he's like, do it this way. Follow him. They said zero on this guy. They said nothing about this guy. So if we'll follow him. So they're going to follow him. Walt is going to teach Todd how to be his meth cook with him. They go through the longest night of their lives, like cooking. The lawyer shows back up to the bank with more money. She is the cake pops. She's less happy. He starts opening the boxes, loading. He looks at the door, and DEA standing right at the door. Hey, buddy. So they basically have now seized all of that situation. Walt shows back up at the Hank's office to take out the wires and stuff out of the office. And while he's there, they're having a discussion that the closing. They have the lawyer. He's ready to talk on Mike. He's ready to spill the thing. And Walt overhears that. Walt gives a phone call to Mike and is like, "They are coming right for you right now. Like, get out." And he's at the park with his granddaughter. Like, it's a very sad scene because Mike cares about one thing and one thing only, and that's his granddaughter. And now he doesn't even get to say goodbye to her in the situation. He has to just go. And he fights with it super hard of like, do I just turn it? Or like, I can't leave her. And
it's like the scene in Heat with De Niro where he's got to walk away at the end there. Yeah.
Basically, wow. What else did I? Mike, Walt, Jesse, and Saul all have that meeting in the office about Mike and the situation that's going on. About and bringing. They need him. Somebody. They need Jesse or Saul to go get the money and take it to. He needs to get the car. He needs to get away from it. He needs to get the situation. Walt volunteers to go do it. And they have this whole like shakedown situation of it. Like Mike and him have a very intense conversation about the situation. He looks inside the thing. It's got a gun and a bunch of money. They hand over the money. They end up going this every way. Mike gets in the car. He opens up the bag. He notices the gun is gone. Walt walks up to the car, fires the gun into Mike, killing Mike, basically. Drives off his car, goes down the thing, and the episode ends with him looking off into the water, Mike dying, and Walt talking, "I'm sorry, Mike, I'm sorry." He's like, "Shut up and let me die in peace." And that's the end of Say My Name. Mike is now dead. Casualty. Makes perfect sense why Walt wanted to do it, because Walt doesn't trust Mike and his people out there and having to split up money and do all the situations to keep a bunch of people quiet. And with Mike in the picture, you can't do any of that. So Walt does it himself to take out, basically goes there to take out Mike. Like, that's what my overall thing. I don't know if that's the initial plan when he first thinks about it, but Heisenberg tells him that Mike's got to go.
And then when he tells himself, like, "Oh, I realized I could have got the names from Lydia. That this could have all been avoided. I didn't have to kill you."
Because I made the thing. He goes there and he's like, "I need those names." Like, and he's like, "Shut the fuck up, Walt. Like, you're not getting the names. It's not happening. Give me the names, Mike." You fucking idiot. Do you realize how big this? The best thing you can do is tell Jesse and you guys to get the fuck out of Dodge. Like, it's over. The whole world is crumbling. You're over. And basically, it's classic Mike Walt not getting what he wants, so he's going to take it into his own actions and takes out Mike. Top 3 character of Breaking Bad, gone. Like, a lot of people put him as number 1. Like, Mike is the dude. Like, everybody likes Mike. Gone. Dead. And what's your guys' thought on Say My Name?
I mean, this is definitely one of the best episodes. I mean, the cold open is fantastic, and then just all the stuff with Mike there. I mean, him having to walk away from his granddaughter is just heartbreaking. And then the DEA takes all of her money again. So pretty much everything that Mike has done up to this point has been for nothing. It's just it's rough. Yeah, it's a really powerful episode.
Yeah, I love this episode. It's fantastic. The cold open, maybe it's arguably like the best cold open in any show ever. Well, maybe number two. It's behind the wire when they're trying to get the desk into the office. Like that's still the best one ever. But like I just every moment here that happens, like, cause I I know I mentioned I really like Mike, but I don't think like I brought it up enough because I love Mike as a character, especially his arc in these last 7 episodes. Because I think they do a really good job as portraying Mike as the guy that Walter wants to be.
Mhm.
Because Mike is actually the criminal that I think Walter sees himself as. Because Mike is really the honor bound guy who really is out just for the money. He just wants to better his family situation, and he doesn't really give a fuck about anything else. Like, in his main priority is to leave money for his family and not get caught. And that's it. And in all honesty, like, the one mistake he really makes in this situation is by poking the fucking ego bear that Walter is at the end. But just, I mean, mo- that last speech he gives him is just so fucking good. Like, like you just had to be the man. You just had to go and blow it up. Like
Mhm.
you, your pride and your ego, like,
No.
just amazing. Like, just top tier fucking acting right there. And I will like disagree a little bit, like in some sense that I think Walter went over there to kill. I honestly don't think he wanted to kill Mike at all.
Hmm.
Like, I don't think that thought crossed his mind at all. I think he took the gun out of precaution, but he really kills Mike as just an ego thing because he talks shit to me, and I'm not gonna let that stand. It is the most villainous thing I think Walter has done because there's absolutely no reason to kill Mike. Like, he does it because he wants to, and that's it. And even though like Walter has done some shitty things and he will continue to do more and more shitty things until we go to the end of the show, to me, this is the moment that I hate Walter the most for. I fucking hate that he kills Mike. I hate that Mike
Mhm.
dies the way that he does, and just overall, just all the stuff that happens to him here. It's just it, yeah, just insane. And then yeah, all the Jesse stuff is really neat. It's really nice, at least for this half of the season, how much nobody really wants to be on Walter's side. Everybody's just kind of done with him. Everybody's just kind of there because they feel like they have to, and now everybody is like, no, we don't really need to be with Walter anymore. He sucks. Like, especially Jesse's like, yeah, we had to kill a kid with Walter, and he keeps telling me nobody else is gonna die. Like, no, he's fucking lying to me.
And then his response is he screws Jesse out of his share and screws him out of his money and out of the business, and then ends up killing Mike. So yeah, this is probably definitely the worst episode for Heisenberg.
Yes, it is 100% not um, brilliant on a lot of his part, but he doesn't really have a whole choice. Like, when you look at it, like, I've had other people like watch it and study it, and like they say the exact same. Like, what would you have actually done in those situations? Like, he did the bet, like, of not knowing next steps because he's having to learn on the fly. Like, he is doing it flying, and like he thinks again. It's the whole problem. He thinks he's the smartest guy in the room, and that's just not the case in this world. He just thinks he is. Um, Gliding overall, season episode 8 starts. I bet there's some people with PTSD flashbacks. There's a fly that appears at the very part of it. People thought Fly Part 2, they were about to just melt down. Not. Todd shows up at the place, and Walt's just sitting there in the office, staring off. Basically, Mike's in the trunk. They're putting out the barrel. They're going to take care of him. Jesse shows up and goes, basically, was like, what up? He's like, I have no need for you. Like, basically shuts the door on him. He's out. Walt, one of the 9, 10 now, is meeting with Hank. Basically, he's like he wants full immunity of the situation and be able to like go off, but he's willing to talk. Hank gets up and is like, this isn't a fucking negotiation. I got 8 of you other fuckers that will talk, and I don't need you to do it. So either talk or don't talk. It's your call. And he's just going around to talk. Heisenberg meets with Lydia in the shop, basically needing the 10 names. She's like the 10 names now that the lawyers involved. She doesn't want to give up the list because she says if she gives up the list, like there's no use for her. Walt asks her very clear, "What do you think happens? You give me that list and I kill you in a public place? Like, but let me tell you this: if you do not give me the names, I literally have 0 use for you." So basically, the whole conversation about getting the list. Walt ends up getting the list and talks to Todd about meeting with his uncle. He wants to set up the plan to kill the people inside the jail, all of them in jail. Uncle's like, can't be done. That's not what I asked. It can be done, and it will be done. Like, that's the thing. If it's money, if it's a situation, make it happen. Like, this is non-negotiable. It has to be done. And then, arguably one of the cruelest montages that happens is Walt stands there, music's playing, he starts his watch, and there is a montage of all the people getting killed into jail. Lawyer first at the phone, like some of the most brutal deaths. The one that was going to squeal at the very end gets lit on fire inside the cell. They basically just take everybody out, and Walt like hits the timer. Like, organized killing. Hank is taking pictures with like a sports team of the girls. He comes up, his partner comes up and basically tells him all of them are dead. Like every one of them have been killed. Walt gets a phone call. It's done. He hangs up. He is over at Marie's house with the baby. Hank shows up and just Hank's not feeling the best, looking the best.
Bad day at the office.
Bad day. He's talking about, he's like, basically invites Walt to have a drink with him. Walt says, sure, let's have a drink. So they're having a calm conversation. Walt like takes like Hank's telling a story about like him as a different job and like maybe it would have been just better than what I'm doing. Like, because it's like not having to deal with the evil of that situation. Not realizing he is sitting face to face with Heisenberg. One of the main conversations I missed, Lydia and Walt have talked about now the Czech Republic. Their product's going to go worldwide at this point. He's going to cook. So then there's another montage of just Walt cooking and dropping in and money coming in and money going out. And it's just like this. It's one of the coolest shots, too, that it like pans over like New Mexico and just tents are popping up on every home, and like that's where he's basically cooking everywhere.
It might be the best montage that they did in the show.
It's flawless. Like there's so much. Like he's coming in with the sodas. They're dropping the money in the liquid, and like it's just back, and it's everything. He's just cooking, exhausted. Marie is talking to Skylar about, hey, I think it's time that the kids go back home. Like I think like we love having them, but that's just it. She gets home after talking with Marie. Walt's sitting by the pool. Skylar goes, take a drive with me. Takes a drive to a storage unit. opens it up. A giant thing of cash is just sitting there. She's like, there's so much money coming in. I spray it for Silverfit. I do all the stuff. There's no point of counting it anymore. There was no point of when. I don't know how much is here. I don't know what it is. And she's basically, how much is enough? Well, we couldn't spend this in 10 lifetimes. What is enough? I can't launder this much money. I can't do anything with this money. What is it? And he's like, I want my life back. I want my kids back. I will say, I've watched the show now for over 10 years now. I have been anti-Skylar for 10 years. I am no longer anti-Skylar. She's a drag of a character. Because ruins Walt's fun. But the absolute fucking hell that Walt puts her through, she's justified to be as the biggest bitch she possibly can be to this man. So, still, number one Heisenberg guy. Definitely, big Heisenberg guy. Skylar, not worst evil character ever. Especially not even, wouldn't crack the top 30% of the shows we watched this series. So, but there is a thing that's happening after it. He's going for a scan. Walt's cancer's back. Walt's cancer's back. He also does the funny moment. He looks at the thing when he finds out his cancer went away. The paper towel holder inside the bathroom, it's still dented up from when he beat the fuck out of it because I started cooking meth and now my cancer's away. But his cancer's back. Walt steps over at Jesse's house, basically to talk to him. They're talking about the good times and talking about the situation, but he notices he's high. He notices he's high again, sitting there, and then he leaves money on the porch for him, and Jesse had a gun on him to take out Walt. So he thought he was going to be taken out, so he's going to take him out. Walt tells Skylar he's out. I'm done. I'm no longer doing it. Moment happens. She looks relieved. They go down for a barbecue. Hank, Marie, Walt Jr. all over there. They're all sitting there having a good conversation. Hank goes to the bathroom inside the house. Goes to the... I don't know if there is a bathroom in the main.
I thought it was weird. He goes into
there's no explanation of why he goes into the bedroom one, but he does go in.
He's got to dump a stinky load, so he wants to keep it away from the main hallway.
He wants to go to the comforts, right? He sits on... every great mastermind or every great criminal makes a mistake. Walt makes a grave mistake. On the back of the toilet, there are 2 magazines, and underneath it, it is Leaves of Grass. Walt Whitman, Gail Bedecker left a note inside that book and Hank opens it up, and it sees the WW. We get a flashback. WW. Willy Wonka. Walter White. You got me. Hank knows Heisenberg is Walt.
He just looks up and stares into the camera. It's just... And
stares like his moment. The man he's been chasing is his brother-in-law this entire time. He says Willy Wonka. What's the other one? Willy Wonka?
Woodrow Wilson.
Woodrow Wilson?
Yeah.
Walter White? You got me.
It's crazy to think that if it wasn't for Walter's ego and pride, if he would just get rid of that book, this would have been the happy ending. The show would have been over right here.
He still probably would have died from the cancer.
Well, from the cancer, but yeah, it's still a happy ending for his family.
He was one chess move away from being gone, being done.
Yeah. Jesse would
He
have had
moved
his
the
money. He
wrong
would have gone
piece.
off.
He moved the wrong piece. Got checked. Checkmate. Hank now knows the man he has been chasing for 5 seasons, multiple years, is Walter White. And he is in his house. I think the graver thing is that he knows this information and he still has to act like nothing's happening. It's crazy. It's arguably one of the best ending of an episodes ever. Because you don't even think. We as an audience don't know that book is even featured. We see it pop up this season for the first time. While it's in the bathroom, he showers, he does stuff. They show it on the camera. They show Leaves of Grass. But we don't know what that book contains. We see the Walt Whitman. Okay, we've heard Walt Whitman before. We know that's what Gail's book was. They talked about it. It's from the poem, Your Star, You're My Star, blah, blah. It's there. What the fuck is it in your bathroom? Hank chooses to use your bathroom instead of another bathroom. The GB means nothing to anybody else. If Marie grabs that book, if Walt Jr. no one knows what GB means. Only one person in this world knows what GB means, and it is literally Hank Schrader. And now he knows exactly who the fuck you are.
I mean, it's definitely one of the greatest cliffhangers ever. I mean, it's just a guy sitting on a toilet. But yeah, when I watched that live, and I was like, oh, I gotta wait like a whole year for the next episode.
And he is sitting there after what, maybe a day, maybe 2, whatever the case may be, of knowing that all 8 people just got taken the fuck out.
Mm-hmm.
And he's never felt. Gus got taken out. He's never been cured. Mike was still. He knew that it was still out there. He knew he was still out there. Didn't know who it was. Now knows exactly who the fuck it is. Mark, what's your take?
Bring this up in a little bit. I really love the very first half of this episode. The first half of this episode is awesome. Get that? I love it just for the sense of, because I think you talked about how much you like the development of the Walter White character. I think what's just amazing about this, we started in the first 3 episodes. It took him 2 episodes to decide to kill a drug dealer. Like, he just agonized over it. And now he's at a point where he's ready to authorize the killing of 8 people, like several different places. And he also feels comfortable to antagonize and like go at like this I don't remember Uncle Jack guy,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
who is clearly knee deep in the criminal element, but Walt is just unfazed by it. He's like, no, I'm as big as shit. I'm as big shit as you are. Like, it doesn't, like, you.
He's
don't
got more
scare me.
swastikas than brain cells, and he's just sitting there talking to him.
Yeah,
Like it's nothing.
It's insane, and honestly, you are sitting there. You're sitting watching it. Oh yeah, this makes sense. Like, there's not a thought in your head that, oh, we've gone way too deep on this. They didn't develop this good enough. They did it perfectly. And then of course, like, we get the whole montage thing, Crystal Blue Persuasion. That's great stuff. I think the old, like, I'm not gonna like hate like on the Hank reveal, just in the sense of we all knew it was coming at some point. Hank's going to find out. It's just a matter of how. I really like that it's because of Walter's lone fuck up. I really like it just because whenever he was getting rid of all of the evidence to show that for like his Gus stuff, he literally sat there, looked at the book, and then just put it in, like, thought about throwing it in the trash. No, I'll just put it in the bathroom. I can hold on to this. Like it can be fine. Like, and it's the reason why Hank knows. It's the reason why he's now gonna have the DEA on his ass. Like that. I do like that. It's just like, I know at some point it's gonna come, and I think that at least takes a bit away. Like, I feel like they capitalize on that moment, I think, a little bit more in the next episode.
Yeah, so I don't disagree. Like, we all know it's coming, But like, I think it's so crucial the way it does happen because he just took out everybody that could have squealed on him.
Mm-hmm.
He took out Mike that didn't need to take out Mike, but took out Mike. He did every way to make sure his hands. Now I'm out. I'm free and clear. This is no longer an active thing anymore. And the moment he's out, Hank pulls him right the fuck back in.
I also really like that it's in the middle of what seems like a perfectly fine family evening. Like, they are now a family again. There's no problems anymore. And now we're back. Like, now we're just back in the middle of like this great conflict, even though everything is supposed to be fine now.
Yeah, because I mean, like in my notes here, I put that Walt gave Jesse his money back because that was the first time this whole season he was Walt. That was the first time he wasn't Heisenberg anymore. Pretty much like the last 10 minutes of this episode, he's Walt again, and it could have been that could have easily been the end of it. And but it's just that one thing he had the pride is like, Gail wrote me this nice little message about how I was the best he ever worked with and all that stuff. I can't part with that, and then just. But, I mean, this is a great episode. I mean, like I said, that montage is one of the best, and just the transition, like the scene where Walter and Hank are talking, he's on the couch, and then he gets up, and then it transitions to him doing the cook. I thought that was one of the smoothest transitions I've ever seen.
Yeah,
that was fantastic. And the one thing we missed, I think, that during the whole Walt and Lydia meeting thing, is that he had the ricin with him, so she was this close.
Yeah.
She almost didn't walk out of that meeting alive. She doesn't realize it, but she had this offer to make him an empire. So.
What I also just kind of, I know I talked about like the outing thing. I think what's also just kind of going off of what we know, is that we've all seen it before, is that at least for these people, that kind of Sunday cookout, whatever it was, that really was the last time that they were just a normal family.
Mm-hmm.
It was the last moment.
Oh, yeah.
All right, episode 9, Blood Money. By the way, if you've never watched, I don't know how many there are, but I just watched it this week. There's a table read of this episode. I watched them all read this scene. It's just awesome. Even some of the changes that they made. But it pans up. We get back. There's skateboarders inside of a pool. It is the Walt. It's the Walt's house. It's got a fence up. Walt is outside of it. He breaks in. He ends up walking through. He sees the spray painted letters on the front of the house. It's Heisenberg. It's literally mentioned. He was walking through. It's really weird and eerie to see the house just like destroyed like this. We've never seen it like fully destroyed. He unscrews the thing and gets the ricin out of the light switch. He's leaving the house. He turns around and his neighbor is outside, and she's like, she knows he turns around. Hello, Carol. She drops the bag and he gets in, and then it starts. Cuts back. Hank walking out of the bathroom, shocked face, has the book, puts the book in the thing. The door opens with the exact line, "You're the devil," said from Marie to Walt. Hank's like, "Dude, my stomach's fucked up. We're leaving. Like, gotta go." As he's staring down Walt the entire time, they end up going. Hank is trying to get away, avoid Walt as much. Walt is like in his face the entire. You all right? You're gonna drive? You want to talk about it? Get the fuck away! Like, basically, get the fuck away from me. Ends up going. Marie chatting up a fucking storm about God knows what. He doesn't know what's the fuck's going on. Like, he is just focused. Everything's shaking. Everything. He just drives right through a mailbox. Everything into the person's thing. He almost has a heart attack. He gets home and life's back to normal. But he had a panic attack. Everything's good. He's like, "Don't tell Skylar anything." It's nothing to be embarrassed about, Hank. Like, no, don't talk about it. We're done. Grabs his stuff. Leaves, starts to work into it, goes out, pulls the Gil Bedecker file, starts clicking through, compares the W, compares the R, compares everything. It is an exact match. He knows for a fact that Walt is Heisenberg. Walt has to get another job since he stopped cooking meth, so he's just going to work at the car wash. He's just going to work full time at the car wash now. He's talking about air fresheners, what would be provided. Let's put the pine near the front. Like, that's the best seller, like, all this stuff. Shadow's like, oh, gosh, I got him working. That's cool. Walt says, hey, since we can't money that money, if this is a successful car wash, she's like, it is successful, then we need to buy more. We need to buy another car wash. Talks about it. Person shows up, Lydia. Lydia shows up in the car to get a wash. Walks inside, talks to Walt. Walt goes, I am out. I've given you the operation. You're fine. It's 68%. Sucks to suck. Like, I'm not getting the fuck back in. Have an A1 day. Bye. Like, oh, this is fucking, get the fuck out. Leaving, Skylar comes in after Lydia just is not, like, having it. Looks at Walt and goes, who washes a rental? Who is she? She works in the thing. I told her no. Skylar's like, wow, fucking honesty for the first time ever. This is fucking weird. Walks right up to her and is like, get the fuck out of my car. Don't ever come back. Like, you're not welcome. What the get out. Go back to Hank and Marie. Hank is like, I'm not going to work. I'm going to take a day off. I'm going to have work come to me, basically. Like, oh, you need a day off. DA comes in with boxes. They're bringing stuff from the Gus Fring file, basically, to look into it about Heisenberg. So he montage of him going through and organizing everything. Looks at, like, Walt and Jesse stealing the methylamine, like, the first time, and, like, them going through that shit. Looking how Walt walks and is like, this fucking looks like Walt. Like, everything's pointing to Walt. Nerdiest Star Trek conversation ever happens between Stinky with Jesse just sitting there vegging out while they're talking about it. Jesse's wanting to meet with Saul. There's no smoking in the lobby. He fucking starts smoking to get his attention, gets him in there. Saul is getting dressed. I think he's getting some happy attention in there. I'm not sure what was happening. I don't think it was PG. Basically, he wants to give the money to the boy that got shot by Todd, and he wants to give it to Mike's granddaughter. Well, that'd be great news if you're retired. You're going out, but this is hard to explain when everybody's watching all the money. You want to get taken for a third time? It's not a good idea. Walt is getting chemo. Still has a burner. The only thing connecting him still to that outside world. Saul calls and tells him about it. Gets chemo. Walt comes over to have a conversation with Jesse. Walt's still lying to Jesse. Basically tells him, Mike's fine. Mike would not be fine if all the situations happened. You wouldn't be able to touch him if he was still in the picture. It doesn't work. But he's lying. He knows the truth. He just won't admit to it. He drops off more money to Jesse. Then Walt goes, they go back to the house. They're having dinner. Walt goes to the bathroom, puking for the first time in a while, looks up at this thing, starts looking through the magazines and stuff, notices that his book is gone. No clue where it is. Goes to Skylar, asks her the question, do you know? No, I didn't even know you had, whatever. Walt Jr., are you kidding me? Just what the fuck are you doing? He's not stealing the book. What are you doing? What's wrong with Hank? Well, stomach bug, he's just sick. Oh, interesting. Okay. Sitting there keeping up. He goes outside, goes to his car, starts looking around. His worst fear has been noticed. The location device has been put to his car, the one he put on Gus Fring's car. He knows that Hank is onto him. 100%. Jesse goes on a bender, basically giving out 10 grand, just launching it through the neighborhood, giving it out. More DEA just stop by, basically drop off the stuff. A black car appears. It's Walt. Walt shows up at the house at Hank. Hank puts all the stuff away, having a conversation. Oh, stomach bug. Did you have the potato salad? It was out in the sun. I'm just curious. None of the rest of us got sick. You all right? It's Yeah, no one else, but just curious, like, what's going on? Like, yeah. They have this very tense, like, something's not fully right. Feel better. He taps him on the shoulder. Going to walk to the door. He gets to the edge. Hank's staring him down. Walt, not going to let something fully go. Turns around. You know, you know why this would be in my car? On his car. Hank knows that he found it. The only two people that know about it is me and you. Like, what? Know anything? Garage door shuts. Basically cutting him off from the rest of the world. Just him and Hank are alone. And he's like, I don't like the way you're looking at me right now. Hank jolts at him, punches him in the face. And like knocks him. And is like, it was you. Everything was you. You drove into traffic to keep me away from the laundry. Like, you had my cell phone and you about Marie. Like everything. It wasn't Pinkman. It was you. And then he's like, Heisenberg. And then he sits there and goes, listen, Hank. Don't know what you're talking about. Like, this is crazy. Like, and then he's like, I'll put you under this jail. He's like, you'll ruin our family. If you do this, you'll destroy our family. I don't give a fuck about family. What the hell are you talking about? Like, this goes way beyond family at this point. He sits there and he says, the cancer's back. And then he's like, good. Rot, you son of a bitch. Like, just crazy. Hank is lost. Like, nothing about it. And then, Walt's like trying to talk about it. He's like, I'm fighting like hell. I'm on chemo. I won. I'm going to do this. But even if this is true what you're saying, in 6 months you will have no one to prosecute. And even if you could convince anybody with zero evidence that I did this,
I'll never see
I won't be here to hear it. I will never see the inside of a jail cell. And it doesn't matter to Hank. Like, at this point, he does not care. He is going to go. I'm a dying man. Like, who runs a car wash. That's all I am. Bitch. What? You have a Gail Bedecker book in there. Like, he doesn't, like, I don't know why he thinks anything else. Like, it's just, it's hearing that garage door shut is just insane. And then he's like, bring the kids here. Bring Skylar, tell the kids here, and then we'll talk. Absolutely not happening. Like, no. Because once he has that, then he has everything. And Walt knows that. Like, you can't do it. Hank's like, I don't even know who you are anymore. Like, he has no clue. Like, you're not who you think. Like, we're in a different world at this point. Like, because he doesn't know. And then he says one of the best lines in the entire thing. If you truly don't know who I am, maybe your best course of actions is to tread lightly. Fucking and his eyes, Hank's facial acting in this is just like, basically, Heisenberg just fucking warned you to not step over the line. Like, if you truly don't know who I am, if that's what you think, then I suggest you tread lightly. It's such a baller move to say to your DEA agent that has you basically right now dead to rights. Like, he doesn't have like any physical evidence, but he has your ass. Like, he thinks he has it. Walt still, ego and full tact. Fuck off, bitch, bring it. Like, I'm a car wash owner. That is all I am. Gambling debts. Like, that's it. Like, that's who I... Oh. Met TV. Fucking Met. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, this is an episode. It kind of lets up off on the gas a little bit. It's kind of doing a lot of kind of setup for the remainder of the episodes, but then you get to that final confrontation in the last 5 minutes of the episode. Like Cody said, once that garage door closes, it's on for the rest of the season. I mean,
It's a cat and mouse game between Heisenberg and Hank the entire
yeah.
way.
Because I mean, I don't think that Walter Heisenberg ever really respected Hank or anything. But I mean, Hank, if there's one good thing he's good at, it's the police work, and especially once he gets on a case and he's really on it. I mean, there's nothing that can get in his way. So,
I mean, this has been his obsession since season 1. Like,
yeah,
meth labs is his thing, and this is the creme de la creme. Doesn't get any higher. He's going for it.
yeah. And I love early when he's looking through the files and he has like the sketch of Heisenberg, where once you're thinking, oh, maybe Walt, it's so obvious when you're looking at it.
Everything is Walt once you look at it, Walt. But he never thought Walt even close.
Yeah.
Why would he think Walt?
Hank kind of never really respected Walt in that way, where he'd never think of anything like he could do something like this.
Yeah.
He's just a science teacher.
Walt was the Heisenberg drug lord that's like, my dumb DEA brother-in-law is not going to catch me, and my meek brother-in-law that's dying of cancer isn't the guy that's cooking meth. What are we talking about?
I'm surprised they didn't really have him flash back to when he went to Walt there in the high school and be like, yeah, we're looking for all these materials that got stolen from you. Like he should be kicking himself.
Oh, the 500, $500,000 in cash.
Yeah. And
Willy Wonka?
like I've been saying the whole time, I just love how Walt never once lied to Hank, where he had him like a couple of different times, and they just joked it off.
Every time he asked him, he said, "You got me, 500,000 in cash. Like, I'm it. I'm exactly who you're not gonna find. Didn't get me."
Yeah, we're finally up to the point where I was watching this live. I saw the second half of this live, as I think maybe like 6 months. I think I had finished the series up to the point like 6 months before, and I do remember watching this episode thinking, "What the fuck is going on? Like, why? Like, it feels because we're going slow. Because we're going slow. Like, all the stuff is happening, but like, you know what? Like, I want some shit to happen." And, you know, of course, I'm looking at the clock. I'm like, oh, like 5 minutes left. And, like, we're there, like, Walter's at, like, Hank's place. And I thought, oh, Walter's going to leave. Like, what the fuck? Are we really going to go, like, this entire episode, like, nothing happens? And we get the garage moment. The garage moment is just, it's top tier. It lets you know you're watching a different show.
Mm-hmm.
And that, where not only does Hank know that Walter's Heisenberg, but Walter knows that Hank knows.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be the next 7 episodes. And that is going to be where we're going from here. And like we have our foot slammed on the accelerator, and it's just going to be like that for the next 7 episodes.
No, yeah. Because I mean, like you say, if this wasn't the last season, they would have drugged that out. Walt would have left, and then they would have spent a couple more episodes of Hank looking into him and all that stuff. But yeah, this is the final stretch, so it's all coming to a close here.
Yeah, and like again, that line when he's sitting there, like, that's who I am, hand to God. And even if I am that person that you think that did these horrible things, there will not be somebody to prosecute. Like, saying basically, yes, you've got me, but at this point, I'm not going to tell you I am him, but, like, you don't have anything.
I mean, he gives him that out. Yeah.
But then to sit there and also look at him bold-faced in the face and be like, bitch, also, I just eliminated 10 people left, right, and center. Maybe the fuck you should do is tread lightly in the situation. Like, don't overstep, because I can literally eliminate you. The only reason you're still alive, Hank, is because of Walt. It's the only reason he's still alive. He would have been gone multiple times. Only reason he's still there. Gus would have taken him out. Like, Gus saved him the one, but Gus would have taken him out. So, overall, Fantastic. We are closing in on 2 great season finales. We will start Oz next season. The next season, season 6, the only season 6 of the shows. So it's got to be the best. But at that point, this has been Mark, Matt, me. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.